wiring loom has been cleaned. I do quite a lot on this wiring looms before I fit them on. You don't have to, but they definitely improve. Just tidy up, clean it, remove a lot of old body insulation like it was from here to the coils, for example. Just make it a bit more tidy. Obviously remove all the plugs that is not needed. This one I usually cut it off, but in this instance when the car is going to be used on a track, maybe some races, I don't know, it's definitely a track car. So this is the speed sensor. Now the speed sensor in this instance is not directly connected to the ECU, but it's good to have it. The speed sensor obviously is not needed for the conversion because it's we have the speed individually on MR2 from the ABS module, but if you map it on the ECU, you can do it on a standard ECU. You just have to find the pins and plug it in. I believe, yes. But you can connect it, and then ECU will see the speed of your gearbox, because it sees the speed of the gearbox, but also knows the RPMs. It will calculate which gear you're in, so you can do boost by gear. Does it need it? Not really. You know, having 2000 brake horsepower, you have to limit the boost in certain gears, but in certain situations like racing or maybe wet surface or stuff like this, yeah, could be beneficial. So in this case I'll leave it on. This is going forward quite quickly actually, because the wiring loom, to prepare that, it takes a little time. So that's just really done. Now today we're gonna work on the pump. I'm gonna replace the pump, make sure everything is right, replace the sump, get the pickup, maybe change the angle of that, new oil return as well. And also, if you see how nice that is where your oil filter is supposed to be. Now all we have is a takeoff for the oil lines. So yeah, this is gonna be nice. Why is it so quiet today? It's awfully quiet. They've probably shitted on my wing, and now they're keeping quiet because they want to see what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna react. I'm used to it. You think I'm joking? Oh fucking hell. Yeah, there's so much stuff to do on the car, obviously. As you can see, that the diffuser is finished, although I am not sure if I don't want to put a cross member somewhere in the middle. No, I want to check it. I think it's solid enough. Obviously I screw up because I really wanted to cut the bumper where the diffuser was, like this height. Clearly I've cut a few millimeters more. The reason, don't ask me. Don't ask me. Such a fucking nightmare to remove all of that crap there, which is literally stuck between that plate there, which is the flywheel, and this fucking cover, because it's hard. It just doesn't want to come off in places. Some places just flakes off. Some places, especially when it's mixed with the paint and stuck. Broken studs, well, bolts. It's just fucking stupid. Why would you even consider doing that? This is all time. This is all time. Someone's paying for. Completely avoidable. Fuck's sake. Well, let me do it. Well, that's better. Fucking hell. With all the paint and all the crap. But this one stays. This is not moving. I can snap it, but doesn't make any difference. Still can't put the bolt in there. I mean, I could try to obviously get it out, drill it. Not worth the time. It's just one of them. This is literally cross-threaded and then snapped. You can see. So fuck it. We're gonna leave it there. I'm gonna clear some. I can't remember, some of the threads. I think 2 or 3 were sort of cross-threaded. So I'm gonna pass obviously the cutter now, clean them all, so we avoid obviously this from happening again, and then yeah, reassemble everything. Put the pump, new pump on, anti-splash plate, and the sump. There you go. pump on, just need bolts. I like these engines for the simplicity of it. These pumps actually, they don't go. This is an aftermarket pump, but a really good one. Peerberg one. It is really good quality. And yeah, cleaned up proper. Spend some time blowing it, clean it, blowing it, clean it, and yeah, nice and clean inside. Quite a lot of this red shit inside there still. I thought I've cleaned it, and was still something in there. So yeah, I spent some time to actually do it proper. And obviously the plastic tray here now, anti-splash, whatever, and then you sump and off you go. Obviously bolted on, etc, etc. But yeah, very easy to change. The simplicity of these engines, and alongside obviously the efficiency, it's just, that's why for me these are one of the best ones, period. That's why so many race teams use them for a lot of different, obviously, race series, from rally to top speed to anything. Fresh sump. Look the amount of sealant, tiny bit, very thin layer. That's all it takes, and we're not gonna have any spillage to inside. Screw. Okay, let me put this one here to hold it there so I can show you proper. There you go. So quite simple on the angle, you know, straight in front of that. Now these would be better if this was my type, which is a bit more open. This used to be 3-inch induction, so these are very good if you want to carry that air with some pipes, but this is what you had already. But in this instance, what I want to do, I want to spread the air flow through as much surface of this cooler as much as possible. It's quite simple. You have a bar. This is extruded alloy, very strong. It's bolted from inside. One bolt there, one there. Solid. This is very fucking solid. It's like you can't move it up and down, left and right. Only use 3 points, 1, 2, and 3 on this one. Didn't use any on the bottom. There's no need, and I'll explain why in a second. So that's as strong as you want to do. This is as big as you can go. Maybe slightly bigger. Could possibly fit it. I think so, but then I don't think we'll be able to use the whole surface. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to, you know, use the airflow through the bigger surface. This is already maxed it up. I think this is the biggest we can get before we're actually losing. Like, there's no point to go any bigger because you're not gonna cool it down, or you know what I mean. It's like there's a balance to everything. Smaller, I don't think will be enough. Bigger, fitment. This I think is perfect. This is what I got for mine as well. I wanted to do mine first and then this, but it's just run out of time. So this is actually crucial for any engine really to do track days races or whatever. So yeah, this 100% works. Now this is extruded, so very super strong. It's just bolted on, bolted from inside, bolted from there. But on this side, if you look, I didn't use any extrusion aluminium. I used 50 grade alloy, so it's quite rigid. This is not your floppy one. This is quite spring, quite strong, but much thinner and flat, because I want this to be able to collapse, because this is right behind the quarter. And if you get a tap from someone, some cases, scenarios like when you crush gently or whatever, and you bend this inside, if all the mounts are solid, something is gonna give up. And I don't want the radiator, cooler radiator, the fittings or the lines, well, lines is flexible, not gonna give up, or anything structural here to give up. I want this to collapse and bring this in, because if you notice, I also put a smaller one here, and I'm only using one of the 2 holes there. You can, that's not the problem. You don't have to use all of them. They say you have to because obviously reliability, blah blah blah, but if you know what you're doing, you can use 2 of them. This is super solid, super rigid, but not rigid enough to break it if something happens. Because if this collapses, because it's just on that bolt there, if you can see it maybe from that instance better, so that mount there is gonna flex, is gonna bend, and it will allow the radiator or the cooler to go inside instead of smashing it. So what happens if that gets cracked or broken, or the lines, or sorry, the fitting is going to be broken, you're going to lose oil. If you're going to lose oil, you may even not notice, and you're going to, you may blow your engine. So you can't go back in pits or whatever. This case, it's just been mangled. You have to repair your quarter or replace it, because MR2s, they just replace the quarters. That, you strengthen that up, worst case scenario, rebuild it, which is very simple, and off you go. No damages to the engine. So the oil system is reliable. Now we're gonna find a position for the oil filter actually, and then start laying down all the lines. That's why I haven't yet fitted the plenum or anything else, because you can see, let me see if you can actually do this here. See there? On the bottom there, the 2 AN10 fittings for the lines going to that direction. So everything is compartmentalized in this corner here. Let's just find a decent place for the, I already know the place, but let me just refine it. Right, so that's the oil filter in place. Just a simple plate angle. This is extrusion, so super strong. This is, it can, well, I'm not gonna say gonna lift the car from this because you won't, but it's more than needed. Plenty of space around in front of the engine mount. Could have it maybe 3 mil high, because obviously there's bolts behind it. You see there, provided. These are Loctite because you don't want this to come off. These are obviously 4 M6 bolts to the frame, to the chassis, not wood screws as people do. But yeah, plenty of space to grab the air filter, the oil filter from both ways, here and there. And I'm thinking, because once you're gonna remove this, there's gonna be some oil coming out from there. There's no doubt it. Obviously we've got the fuel lines here. If you remove them, just shove a rag in there. There you go. That's the way. And just remove the oil filter. That's simple. There you go. Come on. Is it coming off or not? There you go. Because it's long screw there, because I haven't fixed it yet. See what's coming both ways. And there you go. And then put it back on. Fresh one. Job done. This is actually easier than doing it under the car. You can do it on the side of the road if you want. Obviously you won't do it, but it's just I like this setup. I like this. It's convenient. I would like to have the sensors on here as well, because pressure is the same. Temperature, that will vary. Depends where you put it. If you put it before the filter or after the filter, so you can choose which temperature you want to read. Jesus, you can read both temperatures. The one that goes out of the engine, and then one goes back from the oil cooler, so you can see the efficiency of your cooler, for example. But is it worth it? Nah, I don't think so. I think I would prefer to have the oil temperature measured on the oil going out of the engine, because this is actually what's inside the engine the moment it exits it. And then obviously the cooler, what it does, affects the temperatures, but that is actually the effective one. Coming back from the cooler obviously is going to be colder than the engine itself. So I think on the exit, on the outlet, is the best. So, and you can put probably sensors here as well. You can have some sort of adapters, but I think it would be just easy to drill it, tap it, and put the sensors on the top. In my case, in this application, at least that's what I'm gonna do. Now, it's very important when you put these on, don't fuck the lines up as the coordination, because there is an outlet from there, and it has to match the inlet from this. The outlet, the oil going out, is actually, there's a sign out and in on the adapter plate on the bottom there, but there's nothing here, so you have to be careful. Actually the outlet from there is actually the inner here, because that is from around the filter, I'll show you. So the in is from here, and this is out, so is that, what's in there? Oh, I thought it was shavings. So yeah, that's the. So you have to do it properly, because if not, you're gonna put oil inside here instead of there. Is a circulation direction. So, and many oil filters have one-way valve like this one. There you go. He's a bastard to assemble. Well, I'm sweating because it's hot, but also I'm sweating because I'm doing all these fittings. What I do, obviously I clean them inside, but then what I like to do is put some oil inside on a thread and inside the pipe. So then, when you get the swivel, this is the cut type, which I'm not really a big fan of it, but apparently they work. That goes inside and it doesn't generate any friction. And then you lubricated the thread as well, and they go in nicely. Alright, so let me go through this. This is finished, I just have to reassemble everything. Do you remember how this was done with that, well, smaller cooler, different, it was in the front of the car. I'm actually going to show you quickly. It was, actually with these things here, I think it was upside down. Yeah, in front of this, I was upside down. I don't want to put it upside down because some oil may come out. Yeah, just screws holes through the chassis mounts, just flimsy stuff. Anyways, oil cooler there, fittings a bit small. This is hydraulic fittings, not AN. Smaller one, a bit okay if you want to use it the way you want to use it. Obviously, this is smaller in front of here, so you got a big radiator, because this obviously radiance oil goes to over 100 degrees on a truck. So you have something very hot in front of your charge cooler, water cooler, and this operates in lower temperatures, doesn't operate in high temperatures. And then obviously you have your radiator. So it's not really good to restrict the airflow itself to this, but then don't restrict it with something that is already very hot. So that alone was a bit, you know, not really, you know, common sense. I know these days common sense is a rarity, and nonsense actually very illegal, at least in UK. You can get done by it if you express a bit of a common sense, but you know, in these applications we're still allowed to use it, so why not? Also, there was obviously from the engine, from the sump, which was this, which was literally just picking up the oil from the sump, circulating it, which, yeah, at some degree could be okay. It still cool the oil down if it was actually at the oil level, because the sump sits kind of this way, and you can see they are above the oil line. When I took them off, oil was level, there was nothing coming off, because it was circulating just vapors, air. And then obviously that was with the engine not working. And once the engine is working, it's taking that oil and makes it circulate around the engine. So they were doing nothing. Again, common sense, I know is a difficult thing to grasp these days, but let's try to use it. Yeah. So that was another failure, and also then you have, well, length of the car, pipes. And then to make it circulating, obviously you need some extra pump, and if the pump fails, you have no circulation. So extra weight, extra systems, you know, it's just pointless. When now the entire lines are those three, literally these three, operates with its own natural oil flow from the pump. It doesn't struggle, it doesn't go miles away, there's no restrictions. The lines obviously are -10, so the smallest point of this is still slightly bigger than the oil filter housing, original filter housing completely, so there is not a single restriction here. Now, another thing, the radiator now, as you can see, this is so nice, you can walk on this way. This obviously takes the air from again, this is possible. You could go away with this, but with the ducting, you're forcing a lot more air going into it. So this is just, I absolutely adore this. This is, you know, when you say, there's no perfection, but sometimes you get very close, and this is very, very, very close. I still have to, obviously, cut this off a little bit because we don't have to get it into the 3-inch pipe. We want to spray it out, so I'm going to remove quite more of this. I'm not going to concentrate the flow, but I'm going to expand it to that, because the air flow is plenty anyway. So yeah, but that's that. This is I'm not saying it's crucial, but pretty much for this to work correctly. Now, the way I routed the pipes and the oil goes, it's not, you can't just put the pipes on because, you know, it's a closed circuit, closed loop. You can't. You have to do it correctly. Besides doing it correctly, there is other things that I believe I've done the right way, and this is the way I do it. And then obviously people are gonna have different opinions. Someone may disagree, may agree, whatever. I don't really care, you know me. So from the oil filter housing, you have the oil flow to go around the air filter. Air filter, oil filter, go inside there. You see there's a one-way valve inside, there's like a red membrane, so allows the oil go in but not out. So it's like a one-way valve. So you push the oil through those holes, it gets filtered and it goes out. Now this is very important, you keep the same direction. So when you join, obviously, because now this is the oil filter housing, now is remote, so you have to check which line is the one that pushes, because you have two different chambers. There's one chamber that goes around, one goes inside. So you have to make sure the chamber that goes here is attached to the chamber that goes out from here. So you're connecting basically your engine original oil filter housing to your remote oil filter housing, you know, out from there, back in days, and it matches exactly what it should be if it was there. So in that case, the in is this one here, this one is the chamber around, gets filtered and goes out from here. Now the way I route these pipes, obviously then to the oil cooler, is that the one that goes out back from the obviously engine, filter, and from here goes on the top to the cooler, and then from the bottom goes back to the engine. Why top, no bottom? Well, because if that is the direction of the flow, and again we have one-way valve, when you drain the oil, you're not going to empty this completely. There's no way. But majority of it is going to go down, and it's going to go from this, because obviously gravity, and it's going to go through the line to back to the engine. Then you're going to drain more of it than if you were to do the opposite with the lines. This is one thing. Another thing is like, okay, so because we have the flow direction, which comes first? Do you supply the oil to the filter first, which is here, or to the cooler first? I supply the oil to the filter first. Reason for that is because if you have the engine failure, main bearings failure, or big ends failure, or turbo, and you have oil contamination with some derby, some crap, like, you know, shit like this, when we got shavings or whatever it's gonna be, that you don't want to go back to the, you know, to the new engine when you're gonna rebuild it. I prefer that crap is gonna go to the filter first, stop in the filter, and then a cleaner oil goes to the oil cooler. If that was done the other way around, so all those shavings will be in the oil cooler. And then what you're gonna do, you're gonna rebuild the engine, change whatever happened, or new engine, God knows, you know, sometimes you got engine is gone, fuck it, new one, all the system is done, connect everything. Well, you have the oil cooler, and inside the oil cooler you have those bits. So I'd rather everything that goes into oil cooler has been through the oil filter first. Helps. So I'm gonna show you the result, how they routed, how they look like, blah blah, and all that stuff. So I'm gonna show you exactly what I've used, because I have a copy of the same system going on mine. So this is how I fitted it, and I'm gonna show you what parts I used, where from, which bends, which elbows, and etc, etc. Now when you cut the lines, make sure you don't put them on. Make sure you put a lot of brake cleaner through, brake cleaner, brake cleaner, at least 3-4 times. Make sure these are clean inside. Reason for that is because when you cut them, I cut them with the angle grinder. You see how much shit inside the pipe is there? Let me check the camera. Maybe you could see or not. You say, yeah, but you can use a special cutter. Yes, you're right, there are special cutters for these, and you don't have to use an angle grinder. However, this is less because I already blew it up. This one, if you see, there's quite a lot of shit inside there as well. Not as much as I did because it was fresh, but even Torx, they cut them with the angle grinder. That's why I actually have, this is original, this is the masking tape they use to before you cut them, because if not, all of this material is going to wrinkle around and it's going to be shitty. So you put the masking tape first, tight, and then you cut it with the angle grinder. And that's what I did, exactly the same, because there was a lot of shavings, like rubber shaving inside. So don't need it for the expensive cutter. Angle grinder, just make sure you clean it. So you see this fit in here, and it's this is 150-degree one. 50? Yeah, 50, not 20. And you say, well, why you go in it? So like here, you can have a 90-degree and just go inside there. Yes, you're completely right. If this was 90-degree, it will be facing, let me try to explain, it will be facing up here. And from here, it will be enough, because obviously the pipes are flexible, to go inside there. That is completely correct, 100%. But you remember what I said before, that I want this to be a weak spot, that if you crush it, if you dent it, if someone crashes into you, I want this to go inside, not smashing neither the radiator or the cooler or the lines or the pipes. Yeah? Well, in the instance that this is all nice and perfect, the 90-degree would make sense, nice and smooth elbow. But the moment this pipe is fitting is here, when we're crushing it, the pipe will not have enough space there, and it will crash against the body here, the inner body. This way, if you see, both of the lines, obviously the top one is not fitted, but it's actually the same here, goes very close to the cooler. And if this goes in, look, there's so much space, these probably never gonna touch there. So it's just when you do this stuff, few steps ahead. What if this happens? What if that happens? There's not always a choice, but if there is a choice, let's do it better than, because again, putting a fitting on, if it's 90-degree, 30-degree, 130, 180, whatever it is, it's the same job. But plan accordingly for future use and for inconveniences. This is how you build a reliable race car. A race car that even if you crash it, if you smash it, even if you have a contact, and you can continue, you can keep racing. Of course, if there is no major damage, that you can actually keep racing. Because otherwise, even just we're talking just about oil cooler, otherwise, if you had a hit there, if that wasn't done the way I've done it, there's a bigger chance of having a damage and losing oil on the ground. So obviously everyone behind, that's the red flag, they have to clean the track and everything because of you, and also you can't continue. And if you do try to continue because you're high by the race and everything, you may not notice you lost the oil pressure. By the time the oil pressure gauge light goes on, the engine already will run on low oil pressure or no oil at all, and all it takes is a few seconds, because that's like 8,000-9,000 RPMs per minute. So it's got plenty of time to run dry on no oil pressure. So, and again, it's small things, but if you're thinking about it, they play a fairly important role. So I think there is more. We have to put some logic into it and try to prevent the damages if they may occur. Now, this is something that no customer will appreciate, because they're never gonna see it. They're never gonna talk about it. They're never gonna have, most likely never gonna have a clue about it. Because you only notice something when there is a problem, because only then it requires your attention. If something doesn't require your attention or didn't cause a problem, it's forgotten. It just works. It's there. It's forgotten. So again, wheelbarrows, you never think about them unless they make noise, they make problems. So yeah, it's one of them. I know it's, or many people may seem like a bullshit, but it's not. Trust me. I've done way too many of them, or enough of them, to understand this is actually very, very important. This is the same way I used to place the radiators inside the chassis, the intercoolers, oil coolers. Everything used to be protected by the chassis, everything trying to be inbound inside, obviously when possible, not always possible, but if possible protected. If not possible, like in this case, for example, this is not inside the chassis, this is on the outside of the chassis, and it's prompt to be, you know, crushed into it for any reason. Hopefully never, but if happens, this will just go inside, bend, it will lose some of the airflow, it will lose some of the cooling capacity, but that's all. Of course, if you smash against the wood, someone's gonna jump into your property and everything is gonna be fucked, and that is the last of your issues. But you get the meaning. Alright, let me put everything back on, because now we got the sump, we got the new oil pump. When this is fitted, I can actually can put some oil on it. I can't run it yet because I have to do the oil line. The oil line, beautifully, the existing oil line, ended up being too long. Not a big issue. I'm not gonna make it shorter because this is all, you know, clamped. This is one piece. I'll leave it. It's not damaging anything. It's fine. This fitted perfectly. The oil return line, however, I have to redo it. Obviously, I don't have one on the sump, so we have to recycle the fitting from the old one. That pipe is too short. I have the new pipe. It's gonna have to go around, obviously, the exhaust manifold, but you don't want that heat transmitted to it. Some heat shielding you have to be put on, and it's gonna have to go this way and then there. So if you see that one faces that direction, I want it to be up or this direction here. I need to work something a bit more optimum. Obviously we're limited by this, not limited, but it's kind of in the way, and hence I got this 45. It's nice in here, it's gonna be good. But before I'm gonna fit these, as you can see, there is no studs in the exhaust manifold because this had the adapter plate for that stupid TFSI. Stupid, I say, because I don't like him. That TFSI manifold adapter, which again is a bit crappy, I think. So yeah, now we actually have to clean the thread because some of the threads were a bit suspecting cross-threaded, and yeah, not really good. I'm gonna show you when I take it off. So this is gonna be off, turbo is gonna come off, piece of the damper is gonna come off, manifold off, clean the threads, make sure everything is right, new studs, manifold back on, turbo back on, and only then I can do in the lines on, because once the oil lines are in and everything, I can start laying down the wiring loom, which is sorted. We just have to put it where it should be, zip tie so nothing moves in the correct way, get it out the bulkhead, and we're gonna start finishing the engine bay, and then we're gonna have to do a lot of more work over there, and then the turbo system and the charge cooling system. Fucking hell, today is Tuesday and I'm hoping to get it done by Friday, but yeah, don't know. Well, I've done already a lot, so maybe we'll see. Put them with the assembly page off because it's quite tight inside there, and it's much easier this way. And then you just put this on, go inside, and put it on as a whole thing. Obviously, I'm gonna need both hands on doing this, but you get the idea. Now these two lines touching each other, put a zip tie, because contact is not a problem as long as there's no rubbing. So long term, these together, and I've seen when they chopped this bracket, they actually left this one hole for mounting the compressor, and this actually plays in my favor because I put a bit of rubber there and put a zip tie here, because that is close, it shouldn't move, but let's just make sure this is nice and tight there. So there's a contact, clamp it so that contact will never become rubbing. So zip tie there. I'm gonna put a zip tie probably where the fuel lines are, roughly. This one here, I'm gonna put a zip tie somewhere over there, because you want some sort of movement. You don't want to be too close to here, because obviously there's a movement between the engine and the chassis, and these are mounted with the chassis, so you want to put some zip ties at least somewhere there, not too close, to allow that bit of movement. Again, movement is very restrictive, sorry, because we have a polybush in engine mount, so engine moves very little, but still, you know, vibrations and everything, you only restrict that movement. So you see the fuel lines now, they are where they're supposed to be, under the breather, the fuel tank breather line, zip tied. Everything is zip tied to the bulkhead because that is fitted to the bulkhead on the bottom of it, far away from the alternator. Alternator, when it moves, goes up on the acceleration. Deceleration goes slightly lower, but tiny bit, and much less than on the acceleration. So keep that in mind. Obviously all the lines that you see, zip ties everywhere, nice and clean, nice and tight, blah blah blah, and that way you will have no issues coming from the work you've done. You know, let's see it from different perspective, from the top maybe, to see the angle. There you go. This takes the whole space between the chassis and the outer body. You see, I had to shave this a little bit, if not this was catching on there, no, here, sorry, exactly here, you see scratches. So yeah, it's a very precise fitment, but again, easy to do, nothing difficult, it just takes time. Sometimes you really have to do a lot of work on cars to make things work, including like one of those. In this instance, well, actually in general, MR2 I think is a fairly easy car to work on. Even this oil cooler stuff, you know, it's exactly what I would like to have it. It's close to the engine, out of the way of everything. There is literally no downside, there's no issues with this. Everything is, there's no compromises. This is what I'm gonna get. You know, the oil cooler itself is very close to the engine, no long runs, long lines, Jesus. With this scoop, there's a massive amount of air going to cool it down. I mean, could you have any better? Difficult. Some of the cars you really have to, you know, invent some bullshit to make it work. This is just, is there asking to be used as space, especially obviously because the quarters are bolted on. Once you remove these three leaf nuts, yeah, they don't have to be there, don't worry, don't have to put anything. Once you put all the bolts around, it's solid as anything else. So there you go, you see, straight into the cooler. And again, once I'm gonna remove that because it's restrictive, smaller hole. Actually gonna show you once I'm gonna shave it down as a good idea. Let me shave it and we see the difference. Yeah, this is now bolted and you can see it's much bigger area there.